Hello, Brian Darmody, CEO of AURP. I want to welcome you to another of our now every other week peer-to-peer. And we have a special group from University of Arizona Tech Parks that are going to do a presentation for us, led by Carol Stewart, former AURP CEO. As many of you know, University of Arizona Tech Parks is the diamond sponsor for AURP. We have our office there. They provide support to AURP. I want to acknowledge that and thank them very much. And we're going to continue our conversation about COVID-19. And with that, I'm going to turn it on over to Carol to start the discussion.
Awesome. Thanks, Brian. And thanks, Diana, for doing all the logistics and the magic behind the scene. Really appreciate it. One of the things that we wanted to talk about, and it's, I'm in leadership meetings at 7 a.m. every morning, and, there's a lot of doom and gloom out there. So I thought, what, let's actually turn it around a little bit because, as Winston Churchill says, never waste a good crisis. There's always opportunity to be had. So just thought that I would share and some things that we're seeing as positive. I mean, things are not easy for anybody right now, but some of the positive outcomes that we're seeing in Tucson. There we go. So in case anybody doesn't know where Tucson is, this is actually a graphic we used on the red there, a graphic we used in a campaign, which I'll talk about later. But there's Tucson itself, which is 1.2 million square feet. And that visual right there gives you a sense of the campus itself. It used to be an old IBM campus. We're celebrating our 25th anniversary. Last year was the 25th anniversary of the university taking over that old IBM campus. We are 2 million square feet, 6,000 knowledge workers, 50 companies, and we're on 1,300 acres. So it's one of the biggies in the U.S. So Tech Parks Arizona, it's a little complicated from the outside. So I'm gonna run you through this. And we have Eric on the call as well, and Casey. They are much more interesting than me. I don't want to steal any of their thunder, but I'm just gonna set the groundwork. So Tech Parks Arizona is 3 different units. It's actually the UA Tech Park at Rita Road, which is that 1,300 acre tech park. We are building a second tech park, UA Tech Park at the Bridges. We actually snuck in our groundbreaking. That's been on the books for a long time. But we snuck in our groundbreaking the end of February, very end of February, and we broke ground on 2 new projects. And the refinery is under construction right now. We have a construction cam on it, and it is moving forward. I think we lost about a week as far as delivery date on that particular construction project. So we have not missed a beat on that one. And then also, under our charge is the UA Center for Innovation, which is been around since 2003. It's Arizona's longest operational incubator in the entire state. So it's been around for a long time. One of the things that I was able to do is bring a new lens to UACI, as we call it. And one of the smartest things I did was hire Eric Smith, who you'll hear from a little bit later, and I'm not going to steal any of his thunder on the strides that we've made at UACI. One thing that I find, it's funny, I've just been in conversations with a number of our colleagues from our tribe over the last month or so, and this is always, of interest to people is, what does your staff look like? Where does it break down? So many of you know Ken Marcus. Ken is on the board of AURP. I believe he's the treasurer. But this is the way our team breaks out. We own and operate all of the buildings here on the 1,300 acres. So we have a much bigger team than a lot of entities do that are part of our tribe, that are part of our collective. But that gives you a sense of the team that we have. They are outstanding. All the successes we've had in the last 18 months that I've been here are because of the team. It's not, you can't achieve what we've achieved in the last 18 months by yourself. So this is a world-class team that's leading this park right now. Some facts, I'm gonna have to move this, there we go. There's just some visuals there from the park, but we are actually updating our economic impact study right now for 2019. We have a $2 billion impact to the state of Arizona. Like I said, there's 6,000 knowledge workers. The average wage here is $74,000. And this is in a community that is very affordable. So those are extremely good wages. And Pima County average wage is $47,000. So these are really great jobs that are out here at the tech park. There's some of the industries, all of those industries under the 52 companies there really align with, as everybody on this call knows, aligns with the specializations of the university. We can actually state that we're number one in a number of those categories, which is a real luxury. Being a Research One institution, I think we're at $730 million of research that we do a year. And our target is to hit to really hit $1 billion in the near future. But COVID's come along and we're not sure where that's going to land. But it really is a luxury to be number one at anything at an institution, and so we're lucky to be number one in a number of areas. This is some fun visuals. You see up in the top corner, that is the actual tech park. So that's the 2 million square feet that you see. The visual over here is the spine. This is the way that we get around from building to building in 110 degree, 115 degree heat. It really makes a huge difference. You can see the infrastructure there. It's one of my favorite shots, actually, when people come to visit us, is to take a shot down the spine. I think it's fascinating. But community is really important. Our tech community, the park itself is really the heartbeat of the tech community. And so we do tours, we host events. 10 West is sort of our South by Southwest program that we run here annually. This is a really fun program. So innovation is really the key right now to us being successful. And one of the things that we, all of a sudden came to a halt for all of us was business development. How do we start attracting the companies that we work with at the institution? How do we attract those companies to the tech park? So it really comes down to building relationships. That's what we do. We're not regular real estate. So what we ended up doing was, Tucson itself is a UNESCO designated site of gastronomy. There's only 6 in the world. So food and culture are really, really important to us. And so what we ended up doing was we created a program called Tamales and Tech Parks. And so we worked with our Site Selectors Guild Network, and we reached out to them and invited us to have lunch. We invited them to have lunch with us. And when they accepted, they went to Tucson Tamales site. They ordered their tamales, which were in the top corner, shipped to them. And that's what the package looks like when they received it. And so whenever they received it, we would coordinate it for the date that we set up to have lunch with them, because that's how we do business. We do business over lunch. We listen, we learn, and try and help them solve their problems. And so we actually, this was such an innovative program and so well received that we got numerous shout outs on the national level in the Site Selector Guild, in some of their programming, their webinars. So we're really excited that it was as successful as it was, and that it really showcased the heritage and the uniqueness of Tucson and Southern Arizona. So in the middle of every difficulty lies opportunity, says Albert Einstein. So some of the opportunities that we've been working on, the university itself, President Robbins has been very vocal at the University of Arizona about the challenges that our university is facing. It's the same for every university in North America. COVID-19 has broken our models. And so the university itself set out and created 7 task forces to work towards financial stability. Ours, the one that I was invited to participate on, was the New Opportunities Task Force. So we had the luxury of not, scaling down things, looking at savings. We got to look into the future for the midterm and the long term. And as many of you have seen in the headlines, one of those was the acquisition of Ashford University, which is going to close in December. This is adding 35,000 online students to the University of Arizona brand with significant revenue. We were very much driven by, the profit margin of international students, and that's shut down. And I'm not telling any tales. President Robbins has really become that spokesperson for academia nationwide because of his transparency, and he's shared those numbers that the strife that all of us are in. So that we were part of that, and so we were part of that due diligence process. Really strategically looking at that opportunity. It also allowed us to do a review of all of our assets. University of Arizona is a land grant university. I know some of our colleagues on the call are the same. We're the only one in Arizona with our network of 3 universities. So, we have significant operations spread throughout the state of Arizona. And so this really gave us an opportunity to maximize the use of those, to activate them, and to monetize. So there's a whole process that's going on around that right now. We also have UA Tech Park, and again, I'm not going to steal any thunder from Eric, but we are seeing communities outside of Tucson, outside of Southern Arizona, the immediate Southern Arizona region, connecting with us and wanting to collaborate on UAC outposts. This is something that we're doing within our region, but now we're seeing that outside of our region. They're looking at our success that we're having, and they're saying, you know what, we need one of those. We need an incubator that's focused on our particular sector. Let's go to the experts and have you deliver the programming, and what do you need for funding? And we're seeing that. So we have 2 opportunities that are happening within Arizona. We see more on the horizon, but we have 2 immediate ones. And we also have an opportunity for a 3rd tech park. Again, a community outside of the immediate Southern Arizona region. So things have been awfully busy. I mean, there's lots of negativity out there, people not knowing what the future is, but a lot of communities are ready to invest right now and to up their game and have the appetite to take a little bit of risk alongside the University of Arizona. So our future looks very, very busy. And I think that the last opportunity, I think, for all of us, and I hope everybody's being active in this area, is the CARES Act funding. We have multiple EDA submissions that we're prepping right now to move a lot of our programming forward, a lot of our big, hairy, audacious goals and ideas forward. We have the Department of Education. They reached out at the state level, and they're looking for opportunities to advance entrepreneurship and the startup ecosystems. So we're working with our designated state level agency and putting in significant asks in that area as well. And lastly, the anticipated infrastructure funds that we know will flow soon. I've heard as soon as the end of September, October timeframe. So, there's obviously big projects in all of our parks, and we should have our eye on the ball on that, as far as, some asks to develop our infrastructure, our innovation infrastructure to advance our goals as tech parks. That's the end of my presentation. So are there any immediate questions as Eric and I transition our PowerPoints? Okay, I'm hearing none. So Mara, I just want to let people know that Mara Aspinall, I've invited her to participate. She's a board member of the Campus Research Corporation. We're a 501c3 of the universities. And Mara is a senior member of my board. And she actually has a funding project that I think all of us would be interested in. She's right now with the mayor of New York City talking about this project. And I asked her, she briefed me on it late on Friday. And so I invited her to join us at the end of this hour to share this opportunity, this global research project with all of us. So there's a little bit of information. I think the PowerPoint's going to be shared. So you've got her bio. She's a biotech superstar, successful entrepreneur, and I'm really excited for her to be introduced to the group and for her to introduce the opportunity. So I'm going to stop share, and there we go. Sorry, I think I interrupted you, Brian.
So thank you, Carol. So who next from your team is going to be presenting?
Eric is going to present.
Okay.
So,
Eric, look forward to your comments.
Fantastic, thank you. Can everybody see the presentation title slide?
Yep.
All right, fantastic. So thank you so much, Carol. My name is Eric Smith, Executive Director of the University of Arizona Center for Innovation. We are the university's startup incubator network. We serve scalable science and technology ventures that come through the university, through our tech transfer, or graduates that come from the community, and they come from around the world with our International Soft Landing Program. So I'm going to talk a little bit about what we do at the University of Arizona Center for Innovation. If you've ever heard a presentation about UACI, or formerly AZCI, the Arizona Center for Innovation, things have certainly changed. And they've changed even more due to what the climate has looked like in the last 5 or 6 months. And so, right along with what Carol was saying, what we saw was, though there are quite a few hardships, we saw numerous opportunities to increase how we serve and who we serve. And so as we go through my presentation here, you'll see that some of the components are highlighted in red. And those are the things that I'll speak to and that have occurred really since the pandemic started. So worthy to note, just in general, probably comparative to other incubator programs, we're seeing a significant increase in startup activity in our region and beyond. So you'll know that we've added a number of startups, we've added a number of programs, and I'm still very thankful and proud to report that we have not lost a single startup company since this became a thing.
Woo, woo. Okay.
That's right. So as I'm sure many of you have incubators in your parks and understand the benefit of having a startup incubator at a tech park that's connected to a university. We really see ourselves as the connectors to 3 giant buckets of resources for innovators. That's the park and the employees, the innovation that happens there, the space resource, the University of Arizona through tech transfer, through the faculty, the students, and the community. We really do, as a university, as a land-grant university in our community, play a leadership role in advancing innovation in our local ecosystem. So our programming, what we do for our startups is we provide them with a continuum of education and activities. I'll show you what our roadmap looks like in a moment. Through mentoring sessions, workshops, events, there should be a little star next to that, and significant SBIR support as we fully understand that those funds are a great opportunity for our companies, especially in the world of non-dilutive capital. So our program roadmap really walks startups through a process. Now, this is not linear. Startups are working on various pieces of this before, during, and sometimes after they're with us. But we have 27 major buckets of activity that we take our startups through. And if you kind of open up the hood and look at the subtopics to all of these, there's 5 to 8. I mean, as many of you know, there's a significant amount of work that startups have to go through in order to be successful or to fail, and fail fast and fail forward, which is completely acceptable as well. So what we do is we track their exposure to a given topic. We track how they've implemented that topic or activity into their startup companies, and how, quote unquote, complete it is, or what we say well developed, is startups are never really complete with anything. So the people that execute on this programming, that expose them to the topics, that help them be accountable for implementing them, is we have a mentor in residence that helps them put it all together. We have 4 subject matter experts in key functional areas. We have a broader network that we bring in, domain expertise and business leadership that helps them. Now, these subject matter experts, due to the increase in startup activity that we've seen, this is actually new. We actually just brought them on in July. We've got them fully implemented with our program. They work completely virtually. They're in the areas of accounting and finance, marketing, branding and pitching, contract management, or SBIRs, federal awards, and team and board development. So these subject matter experts were sought during this virtual time that we're in. They were brought on board, onboarded, and have already begun to work with our startups. Again, looking under the hood there, we've implemented a number of procedures that allow startups access to these people resources, such as bookings, interfaces, Zoom access, things of that nature. So hopefully the program transition was fairly seamless. We have an advisory council at our Oro Valley location. I'll talk about that in a moment. We have our staff that also supports our startups. We've added one since things have happened here due to a contract that we have with the Department of Energy, and you'll hear about that from Casey. We have some other people resources. We hire interns from the University of Arizona. This coming fall, we're looking at potentially doing that virtually, and they work with our startups on a case-by-case basis. And then, the usual benefits from interactions with entrepreneurs, community resources, customers, investors. We connect them to all of that. But as you can see, just in the last few months, and in a completely virtual world, we've added 5 people resources to our team. From a place perspective, we have 18,000 square feet at the tech park. You saw this image in Carol's presentation as well. We have shared wet lab space with resources included as well. We have dry labs. We have collaboration space, office space, things of that nature at the tech park at Rita Road. We are currently in development of the University of Arizona Center for Innovation at Oro Valley, which will be a 6,000 square foot biotech incubator that was made possible in partnership with the biotech companies in the region, like Roche, Icagen, Bayer, the various municipalities in the region as well, all have time and money in the game. And the people that represent those organizations are now our Science Advisory Council. And then also we will have an incubator at the refinery, the first building at the bridges that Carol referenced earlier. So all of these spaces, the ones in red at Oro Valley, we've been developing that this year, and it has not stopped. So we plan on that being open in October. And then the UA Tech Park at the bridges is really excited that we're turning dirt out at that area. So again, these bullet points in red are things that are new or advanced since the pandemic had begun. We also do all the programming for the town of Sahuarita, just south of us. So that's in partnership with the town of Sahuarita Economic Development, and in Vail, just east of us, in partnership with the Vail Chamber. So we stay busy. Just a quick note here, our facilities are open currently. We do have agreements with our startup companies, and for those that especially need resources such as wet lab space, they are continuing to take advantage of them, but not without additional procedures. So this isn't meant to have you read. It's kind of a PowerPoint eye chart, but really to show you we went through a significant process and tried to consider as much as we could. Of course, we've never been through a time like this before, to ensure that if our startups are in spaces that we're responsible for, that we maintain their comfort and safety. Now, most are not there, but for those that must stop in or take care of some work, we do have their best interest in mind. We have a global soft landing program as well. So we serve startup companies from other regions of the world that have significant traction in their home countries and are ready to make U.S. market entry. We test piloted this program in the fall with the U.S. State Department, who gave us 4 startups from Eastern Europe. So our startups in our soft landing program come to Tucson. They work out of the tech park. They reside for a month in a pretty intense, almost accelerated cohort and receive education and connections while they're there. So hopefully when they're ready to make that entry, then they can do so in Tucson. So we're looking at taking this, we're still planning on running more cohorts in our soft landing program. We're doing some virtual work right now with entrepreneurs in other countries. Specifically, we're prepping some programming in Mexico, just south of us, in partnership with the consulate in the Tijuana area. So looking at first providing virtual assistance, and then trying to identify the best way to disperse that information across communities who maybe don't have significant access to computers or Wi-Fi. So as you can see, there's been a lot of new. There's a lot of red on this slide. We're at 30 startups right now. We've had a bump of 10 since March. And we currently have 4 who are reviewing our agreement. So we will be at 34 or so in the next week or two. If you don't know our ecosystem in Southern Arizona, this is a large amount of startups. So historically, our incubator has never gotten to this many. And as you can see, there's been a significant uptick since March. We are now
Eric, I just want to interrupt, and then also, I think talk about basically our pipeline as well.
Mm-hmm. Sure. So we have a pretty robust pipeline of startups. We've kind of increased our business development activity. Some of that is due to these sponsored launch programs that I'll talk about. But if you look at our pipeline, I think right now we're right at about 50 or so startups that we're interacting with, tracking, and ensuring that they have support that they need. Of course, we'd love for them to be in our incubator, but we want to increase the support for the startups in our ecosystem in general. So we have the Department of Energy contract that Casey will talk about in a moment. And one thing that we've kicked up in the last few months, because as many incubators are, we're always looking for resources for our startups, and of course, supplemental financial resources for ourselves. Is we've started a sponsored launch program. So we have companies that we're working with now that maybe had some dollars to commit to their community, and maybe they were doing that through lunches prior to COVID-19. Of course, we're not all attending lunches and dinners and events, but they still want the marketability. They still want the position of being a community supporter. And so they can do that through sponsoring a startup in our incubator. So what we do is we work with a company, organization, or in Sahuarito's case, a municipality, and we put a call out to, in both cases, really the state, to innovators, to startups, to say, hey, look, we have an opportunity here. You can come into our incubator, receive our programming, and that type of assistance, and you can do so for free. Our fees will be waived. You can be sponsored in our incubator by this company. So startups apply. The company gets to select, in partnership with us, an external panel of judges. They then go through an interviewing process, and ultimately on the other end, we have a startup in our incubator, but also due to the applications that we have increased our pipeline of business development in terms of startups that we could be interacting with, and so we follow up with those. So Perkins Coie is an international law firm, did this in April or in May. And we now have a company sponsored by Perkins Coie. They sponsored them to be in the incubator. They're providing with additional funds and legal resources. It's about $15,000 worth of sponsorship. And then Sahuarito partnered with Freeport-McMoRan. They did a sponsored launch program as well, which funded 3 startups to be in our incubator for 6 months. So this program has proven to be, really a positive step for us. Both in terms of the marketing of both ourselves as well as these companies, the interaction of corporations with startup companies, and of course the increase of startups in our incubator. So we are certainly going to continue that and have a pipeline of corporations that are on board to do additional sponsored launch programs with us as well. And then in fact, we just won a contract with Pinal County, who is just adjacent to us, to do some innovation mapping in that area, and I mentioned what we're doing in Mexico. So really quick, I think we've all gone virtual. We take that very seriously. I think all of our staff and resources spend their whole days on Zoom, but we love what we do, and so I certainly don't have a problem with it. We do have regular group meetings and virtual workshops that we now put on for our startups. I think we're averaging 80% or something of that nature of our startups attend those now in bulk. We look at our dashboard from our program, and we can determine where in those 27 buckets startups need the most assistance or where they're most lacking. And that's what we slot in for our weekly virtual workshops. And then we bring in community members to educate. We then provide that resource directly for our startups live, so they can ask questions and take in the information. We record that, and then we launch that out to the community through social media and YouTube, so that innovators in the community can also have the opportunity. We're doing resource collection for our startups. There's a lot of things coming out, a lot of programs to support startup companies and small businesses. And so we see ourselves as kind of a collector of those, so they have streamlined information. Our physical space is now fully online, so you can go and look at every nook and cranny in that collaboration space there. You can take a virtual tour, much like if you were doing so in a home, if you were looking to buy a home. And then we've helped our startups pivot significantly. We've got stories on stories about how our startups have had to pivot in the last few months. And then we love to tell those stories too. We put them out in the media, we put them on the radio, we tell our stories on social media. And I think the increased marketing of startups is an added benefit that we can add for them right now, because they need exposure and they're not getting that as frequently as they would have if they were going to networking events, live pitch competitions, things of that nature. So I always end with just logos of our startups, so that when all of them hit it big in the future, you can recognize that we got to ride on their coattails of success. This is actually not all of them. I couldn't cram them all on there on this slide, but always love to shine their logos wherever I present. So if you have questions, or if you would like to connect with me about specifically what we're doing at the incubator or innovation in our ecosystem, I am always happy to jump on a Zoom call and chat with you. So that's what I got. While we're transitioning over to Casey, are there any immediate questions?
So Eric, this is Brian. I love the Redfin for entrepreneurs. I love that concept. So did that take a lot of effort to visualize the space, or did you already have that pre-COVID-19?
So actually, we did not have this pre-COVID-19. This was specifically done because we actually are now serving startups from other regions. We have startups in California, in Washington, all over the East Coast with some of our solar work. And then we get a lot of attention from startups who are looking for lab space, specifically in Phoenix. Spaces fill up quickly. And so we needed a quick way to show off our spaces in a virtual atmosphere, so that we can limit the amount of physical interaction that we have with people. So we actually worked with a startup in our community who is doing this, and it was quite an incredible process. One person came out, they just needed me out there too. We stayed distant from each other with masks. They have a pretty cool piece of technology that they plop down, and every 10 feet or so, it takes a 360 image and they keep going. And then they on the back end put it all together, host it in the cloud, and with the click of a link, I can walk you through every part of our space.
I have two quick questions that won't take long to answer. One is, how are you funded? And two is, how long do your startups stay? Is it 24 months or?
So yeah, we stay on the typical average of 24 months or so. Our contracts, our agreements with our startups are for 2 years as well, but they have a pretty easy out clause after 3 months. So we stay pretty close to the average in terms of their length of stay. We do charge a small fee, and we do have some contracts with, as I mentioned, the State Department, the Department of Energy, sponsorships, but the bulk of our funding is subsidized through the rents that come into the tech park. So for us, it's very important that the tech park continue to thrive, because that really makes this all happen. Now, through the sponsored program, through additional grants, and through additional activity, of course, we all hope to be sustainable one day, but that's currently how we're funded.
Eric, I don't think you shared on the sponsored, which has been amazingly successful, the sponsored launch program. Do you want to share with our colleagues typically the format of that as far as the dollars?
Yeah, so we're usually or historically been at $10,000 per. So in the case of the Perkins Coie example that I explained, that ended up being a $15,000 sponsorship because the startup got some additional cash and legal resources, but then they fund the startup to have space and programming with us at about $10,000. So same thing with the town of Sahuarita and Freeport-McMoRan. So what they decided to do is, rather than funding one startup for a year, we kind of flexed with the service that we would provide, and they funded 3 for 6 months. So we were able to squeeze in a third one there.
Yeah. And we have three more confirmed, correct?
Yep. So we have 3 additional companies, corporations that are looking to sponsor startups in the incubator. Again, they do it because they want to market, because they want to show that they're supporting the community. In some cases, in the case of Freeport, they wanted to stem innovation in their space because they're looking to interact with startups. So they do it for a number of reasons.
Thanks, Eric.
Any other questions? All right, so I am really excited for you to hear from Casey. We were able to bring Casey on virtually as well a few months ago. She has quite an impressive background, and she's really a program manager working on a lot of our regional plays, specifically that with the American Made Solar program. So Casey, I will turn it over to you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Eric and Carol. I really appreciate it. Like Eric mentioned, my name is Casey Creo, and I am primarily working with the American Made Solar Prize Challenge. So I wanted to, is my screen moving? I'm so sorry. There we go. Zoom struggles. So I wanted to provide you all an overview about what the American Made Solar Prize Challenge is. Also, what is the University of Arizona Center for Innovation's role within this challenge, and how we all can collaborate and support one another through this challenge and different opportunities for you all. So this is an overall view of the challenge. It is a lot of information, so we'll dissect it even more. The goal of the American Made Solar Prize Challenge is to re-energize the solar industry in the United States. So as you can see, there's 3 different phases to this challenge. There's the ready, the set, and the go. And this is open to all innovators, inventors, entrepreneurs, researchers. If you have an idea in the solar industry, then this challenge is an opportunity for you. So the first portion is the ready portion. And this is where you submit your basic problem that you want to solve. So it's identifying that problem and then building upon a solution. Then we go to the set portion. So 20 winners are selected from the ready portion, and they receive $50,000 each. It is $50,000. They literally cut the check and there's no strings attached to that. So 20 winners receive $50K. From there, those 20 winners then apply to the set portion. This is where we really dive into that proof of concept. It's a lot of research and emphasis on customer discovery, and you really start to build upon your technology and prototype. From there, 10 winners are selected and each receive $100,000 plus an additional $75,000 in vouchers. And those vouchers are redeemable at NREL laboratories across the United States. And then from there, those 10 winners apply to the final portion, which is the go phase of the competition. And there's a total of 2 grand prize winners who each receive $100,000 cash, and then, I'm sorry, $500,000. It's a lot more money. And then an additional $75,000 in vouchers that are available to be redeemed at NREL labs across the nation. And between each phase, there's a 90-day performance period. Break it down even more. They use the term round. We like to use the term cohort. So currently there's 4 different cohorts who are participating in this journey. As you can see, the first round is already complete. We're currently in the go phase for round 2. We are also working in the go phase for round 3, and they just announced round 4, which is really exciting, and applications for the ready portion are due October 8th. So we are in prime time recruitment for applicants. If you're interested, please reach out to me and we can work with you on that. To dive in a little deeper to each phase, the first phase is the ready phase. So really identifying a problem and a solution, and what does that look like? Once again, 20 winners are selected from this to move on to the set portion, and each receive $50,000. There's no demo day attached to this phase. The submission includes a video about the technology that you're working on and a couple of written narratives really focused on problem identification and the team that will help you propel this technology throughout this challenge. Then we move on to the set. Once again, diving in deeper to that proof of concept, a lot of customer discovery, really fine-tuning what is special about your technology and how you can move forward to the final phase of this challenge. 10 winners are then selected, each receive $100,000 plus that additional $75K in vouchers for NREL labs. This portion, there's typically a demo day attached to it. Because of the current situation with the pandemic, everything has been moved virtual, so they are showcasing their technology through video pitches as well as virtual Q&A with the judges. There's also a written submission attached to this. So then from there, those 10 winners apply for the go phase. This is where you really fine tune what that prototype looks like. You choose a pilot testing partner, you work with that partner, and then 2 winners ultimately are the grand prize winners. Each receives $500,000 and an additional $75,000 in vouchers to be redeemable within NREL labs across the United States. Once again, this is a demo day, but it's all virtual right now, and this is where you really showcase what your technology is. Now to talk about UACI's role. So we are one of 6 power connectors that are spanned across the United States, and we have a 2-year contract with DOE and NREL to work with this specific challenge. We are the Southwest region hub. So we're the hub for the Southwest region, which includes Arizona, Southern California, New Mexico, Utah, and Nevada. We are heavily involved in 4 different areas of this challenge. So we primarily focus on event management. So we will be working on hosting those demo days virtually, maybe one day in person again. We're really focused on recruitment, not only for participants, but also for connectors to be involved within this challenge. We also support the AMC network. So that's those connectors that are across the United States, specifically within our region. We work with them closely on connecting with teams and providing opportunities for them. And then ultimately, we really support teams throughout their journey through mentorship. So we're working really closely with the teams who are in the go rounds right now, fine-tuning their pitches, possibly being a pilot testing partner for them, and we're really supporting them throughout this process. As you can see, we also are grateful to have the solar zone in our backyard. So because we are within Tech Parks, Arizona, we have an opportunity to showcase the solar zone, which is miles and miles of solar panels within the site at Rita Road. So this is an opportunity for participants who are interested in piloting their technology. They can possibly work with us in working with a demo site, and we're really excited to provide this opportunity to participants in the challenge. So now to touch on collaboration opportunities. So like I mentioned, we are responsible for supporting the AMC network, and that includes connectors. So these connectors can be organizations, it can be institutions, small businesses, entrepreneurs, the list goes on, who has expertise in these areas. And that ranges from business development to prototyping, to funding, to manufacturing, to testing and validation, and even mentorship. So if you have a business or an institution or a department that specializes in any of these areas, we can definitely work with you in bringing you on as a connector. And there is a huge perk to being a connector. If you work with teams and teams list you on your application, then there is a chance for cash awards as well for these connectors. It's a great opportunity to be attached to the American Made Challenge brand, be in relation with DOE and NREL as well. Here's a few more benefits of the network. So having that name recognition, also promotion, being promoted on social media and newsletter blast, also having the ability to work really closely with the power connectors with different events that they're hosting as well. To bring it full circle, this is a great opportunity to get involved, especially in the times that we're in currently. This is one area, as you can see, there is money within this challenge. There's a total of $3 million that they like to give to the participants and the winners. So there is an opportunity to get involved within the solar industry and the American Made Solar Prize Challenge. So there are 2 call to actions that I'd like to touch on. Is 1, becoming a connector. We can definitely work with you on getting connected within this network and applying you in different areas of the challenge, and overall applying to the challenge. So like I mentioned, they are currently in round 4. So if you have an idea that is within the solar realm, this challenge is for you. It is open to all innovators, including faculty, staff, researchers, entrepreneurs. We're really looking for those idea generators. And if you have an idea, please reach out to me. We can get you plugged in and we can get you involved with this challenge. There's my contact information. And that is all I have. Thank you so much for listening. I know it's a lot of information. There's a lot of moving parts to this challenge, and I am more than willing to share any other information.
That's awesome, Casey. Thank you. I want to report that Mara Aspinall has been able to join us. She has finished with the mayor of New York City, and she found some time to come online and share her global research project as well. Casey, people should be able to get your email if they want to connect. So Diana, I don't know how we hook in or connect in Mara to bring her online to kind of close out the last 10 minutes.
I think they just,
Yes,
thank you, and I'm unmuted now. Can people hear me?
we can hear you, Mara.
Okay, wonderful. So thank you all for letting me take just a few minutes of your time today. Carol, thank you for the interest and invitation. I wanted to talk to you about COVID. You know, you've heard a lot, so I'm not going to go through anything that you don't know. But one of the key things that I have heard in a number of different audiences, quite frankly, including New York City, is that people have not been able to do two things. One is benchmark what other companies, institutions are doing. You can call your friend, you can get information one-on-one, but there's been no coordinated effort to get a critical mass of companies in different, or employers, companies, nonprofits in different industries. So the other Arizona University, with support from the Rockefeller Foundation, has put together an initiative in 4 different areas. And I'll save the best one for last, but I'll briefly go through them in case there's interest to you. One is we're putting together use cases and testing protocols with Duke University to document, because the federal government in the US has not done this, but document specific testing protocols that we believe should go into universities, into K through 12, into nursing homes, into congregate housing. So that's number 1, and we'll be issuing those in the next month. Number 2 is I'll be starting a newsletter on testing technologies. So if you have technologies that you want to highlight, it's not endorsing, but just talking to the community about what they are, please let Carol know. She'll pass them to me or get to me directly. Then the last 2 I think might be most relevant. One is we have something called Testing Commons. And you can get to it literally by typing in Testing Commons, COMMONS.com. It is a list of all of the tests that are available across the world, and it's completely sortable. There are 1,530 tests there as of this morning. You can sort them and find which are ones approved in Canada, what's approved in Brazil, what's approved in the US. You can say, I want a saliva test, and that is put together by a healthcare professional and done at home. And you can find the test that might fit your need and then contact the companies. But then most importantly, in 2 minutes, I wanted to talk to you about the most important initiative, which is a global survey, which we hope to be 10,000 institutions throughout the world to benchmark what people are doing around COVID. So specifically, we're going to businesses large and small. We're in 18 different industries. And we are working with universities, trade associations, groups of people to say, please help us and fill out the survey. If you are not testing, it'll take you about 15 minutes. If you are testing, it'll take you 20 minutes. We expect in September, probably by the end of September, we will have enough companies to ensure that this is confidential. All data going into the system is confidential and anonymous, but we will put together demographics. So what is the state you're located in, and what is the industry, and how many employees? So you could go in afterwards and say, I want to understand what a high-tech business is doing in cities with more than 1 million people. What is their average increase in cost as a result of COVID? Are they giving masks? Are they contact tracing? If they're testing, what tests are they using? And get the confidence in decisions you're making, or help making them for the people and the companies that you work with. We will also be starting educational events. The first one is August 22nd, and we will have the head of the Duke Margolis Center and me talk about these testing protocols and how they work. So one piece education, critical piece, getting the information to understand what's happening. And this searchable database will be open, but if you fill out the survey, you'll get first dibs at it. So you can go to asucovidcommons.com. I'll put it in the chat. or Carol, you can send out the letter to people or give me people's email, whatever is most comfortable for you. And please, if you're pleased with the survey and you're comfortable with this, the more the merrier. Send it off to anyone. It is confidential and anonymous.
Awesome, thanks, Laura. That's terrific. I can't believe you did that quickly. We're going to be, just to let everybody else know, we're going to be sharing this with the 50 companies that are in our tech park. We're going to encourage all of them to complete this, from the 30 startups to the SME. Sharing that as well. So hopefully that input will be valuable for the project, Mara.
Thank you.
You know, our network in North America has 10,000 companies that work in tech parks. So, I mean, we could be a huge contributor to this research project. That's amazing.
We would really appreciate it, and I'm very confident you will get a reward back by seeing what is happening in different ecosystems and around the world.
Well, like you said, just benchmarking ourselves against that, right?
Exactly.
Fantastic. Thank you for popping on, Mara. And I thank everybody for letting us share this opportunity. I'm going to throw it back to you, Brian.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Carol, Eric, Casey, and Mara. This was fantastic. A lot of great information. And as Carol said, we will get this out to our members, and our members have thousands of tech companies in our parks. And I should mention, although this may be a little bit out of sequence, September 15th, AURP is doing a session on the renaissance of bio and pharma manufacturing in the US, sort of like build solar panels in the US. We're going to be looking at new policies, new opportunities for bio and pharma manufacturing. So this may be of interest to some of the folks at UA Tech Park, but also across the AURP community. So you can sign up for that on the AURP website, and we look forward to working with you. While we have some of you still on, we have a couple minutes. If somebody has a question, they could just unmute themselves and just ask the question. This isn't a shy audience.
This is Martha. I have a question. Let me put me back on. So given all the things that you have discussed during this past hour, what is the one thing, given this environment, that you could have done or should have done, but were unable to do because of COVID? Is that an open question?
Yeah, absolutely. And Eric may want to jump in on this as well. We've been fast pedal since March 16th. A lot of people went into fetal position and started sucking their thumbs for at least a week. We have a very sophisticated and well-seasoned group that run the tech park, and we have amazing continuity of operations plans. We had all of those in place. So we basically went to our database, pulled them out, and said, where do we need to adjust? We didn't know how extreme the shutdown was going to be, so we immediately identified who are the core people, who are the essential workers that we need to have on this 1,300-acre campus. It's a city that we need to manage. So, right out of the gate, we were, within 24 hours, we had all of those people identified. We contacted the governor so that he was identified. So if any of us got stopped in the street that were considered core team, we had documentation on us. Like within 24 hours, we were way ahead of the university on this. We submitted all of our plans, and they're like, whoa, we're going to copy everything that you just did. So we executed really well. We were in the trenches with our companies. There's companies on our site that spent millions of dollars taking their staff off-site and putting them in a remote work situation so that they were safe. So we were out there. We were helping direct cars, loading equipment. You know, it's bittersweet. I mean, one of the things that suffers is community, right? I mean, that's why we're different than regular bricks and mortar. But we've really tried to be innovative around how to continue that sense of community when we're all remote. And I think that's probably been one of our biggest challenges. And Eric, if you want to pile on that, that's, you know, that's sort of the top of mind for me. Nice to see you, by the way.
So just briefly, again, we went virtually, we went virtual very fast. And I think all the things that we had lined up, sponsorship programs and virtual tours and all of that, we had to fit within a strategy, but be extremely flexible. So for us, I think it's probably less what we could have done that we didn't, because I'm actually very proud of what we've been able to accomplish during this time. But I would say the two lessons learned, you know, that I think everybody has learned them as well, is that it takes time to go logistically virtual, right? So how do we now work together, gain access to our files virtually, you know, all of that stuff, right? And so, you know, coming to, you know, an agreement on what that looks like and re-implementing procedure takes time, I would say would be the biggest thing. And then also not trying to predict the future. So, you know, we thought, oh, you know, okay, we're planning this event. We'll do this event now in the fall instead, right? And then fall didn't happen. And so our ability just to make sure that we stay flexible and not try to predict the future, because nothing is really predictable right now, but just really focus in on what we've been able to get good at virtually and maintain that course.
Great. All right. We're a little past over 3, so I'm going to wind it up. Again, thank you, team U of A Tech Parks, for a great presentation. Reminder that peer-to-peer is taking most of August off, and so we will rejoin on September 2nd. And looking for a volunteer like Carol did with her team. This can be as formal or as informal as you would like. If somebody would like to host the September 2nd, 2 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. Am I right? Is it September 2nd?
Jeff Johnson is actually hosting the next peer-to-peer.
Oh, okay. All right. We don't, that's right. We don't need, Jeff will do a great job September 2nd. So,
Take away Jeff's spot. Don't do that.
yes. So with that, since we're a little bit over, and I got to jump on another Zoom call. Again, thank you, Carol. Thank you for your team. And we'll get word out about that survey. And think about signing up for September 15th, bio and pharma manufacturing. With that, I'm going to leave you all. If you'd like, you can stay on and continue conversation.